And good morning. It's 7:03 on this Friday, December 6th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody. We welcome you on a Friday morning. A little bit cloudy and overcast, but a little bit warmer this morning. And I hope it's going to be a fantastic Friday for you, and it's going to be for us here. A couple of real fine guests this morning. And Friday mornings, we always start out talking about Wilson Bank and Trust. Damon Bates is with us this morning. Damon, good morning to you, first of all.
Good morning, Coleman.
Always glad to have you. You are a financial advisor. In fact, you're the branch manager. I think you're in charge of your entire investment services, are you not?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. We have about 12 advisors on our team that manages throughout all the Middle Tennessee branches that Wilson Bank has.
And you were telling me about dressing down today.
In order to raise some awareness and money for the Mrs. Cheap campaign that we have throughout the bank to fight Middle Tennessee hunger, we've had the opportunity to donate some ourselves, and if we did, we got the chance to dress in our favorite Titans or Predators gear today.
Well, it's okay if everybody know you're dressed in Predators gear.
Yeah, I'm a Preds fan.
Big hockey fan?
Not really until I got here to Middle Tennessee when the Preds were started playing those early years. Just going down there, I thought it was so much fun, so I kind of became a fan.
Well, but this is nice. Make a donation. Get to either wear Titans or Predators outfit today, and a little bit fun day for the employees and something to talk about and all this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I think everybody really enjoys it. I mean, and we're all looking for reasons to put on a pair of jeans and your favorite team gear, right? And then do it for a worthy cause.
Okay, I know you want to talk about investments and all this kind of thing, so take off.
No, it's just a good time. It's always a good time of year, we believe, to talk about investments. But end of year, it's definitely important to think about your tax loss harvesting. We've had a couple really good years in the stock market, especially this year, and to be wary of not to get blindsided by any big 1099s that get sent your way. Definitely be reaching out to your financial advisor. Hopefully it's us, but to be talking about that, how you can be prepared where you're not blindsided and have a big tax bill here in a couple months.
Probably some things you need to do before the end of the year, and then maybe some more before you file your tax return. I think that's kind of the way it works.
Oh, yeah. We've been doing a lot of client reviews here at the end of the year. Definitely that's one of those things that when you're talking about planning, not just in retirement, but before retirement, if you have any kind of investments, it's always good to have those annual reviews, and especially before the end of the year and the beginning of the next year kicks off because of something like taxes, something to be cognizant about for sure.
I suppose your team continues to add clients, if not every week, every month, and it surely has grown. I know it's grown a lot when it started with one person, and you've got 12 in there now.
Yes, it has, and we were very fortunate to have a great human being like Larry Squires start this off over a couple decades ago, and we've grown to where we are now. And in this year alone, we've grown almost 30% this year alone from new accounts, assets, and that's from the great people that we have that we get to work with day to day. We also have the opportunity to represent not only a good institution like Raymond James for the financial services we provide, but we're part of a great institution here locally, and that's Wilson Bank and Trust.
Yeah. Any particular? I guess the main thing, your message here would be to do a review, to know for sure where you are, know what to expect as far as tax obligation, and then maybe find out anything you can do to help that a little bit.
Yeah, I think we always use the analogy like there's a lot of other professions, a lot of other professionals that you would want to see in terms of need, in terms of things like legal, you go see a lawyer. If it was your health, you go see a doctor. Definitely with your finances, why would you ever take the chance of not going to talk to a professional, especially when it doesn't cost you anything? Yeah. And having some really strong local folks like we do, please take advantage of that.
And there are probably some people who could take advantage of your expertise and get a better return on their money if they just got it, if it's in a fruit jar in the ground. I don't think anybody does that, but they might. But if you're there's a way for your money to make money.
Of course, and everybody seems to think when we gravitate towards stock or the market they immediately think that's high risk. I can lose all my money, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. What we do know is for 125 years, the market, whether it be through stocks or conservative instruments like bonds or even CDs, money markets, those types of things are all part of the investment portfolio. You've done very, very well if you stay committed to a plan. And that plan is kind of what we're talking about here today, is to make sure that you take some time and go talk with somebody and develop that plan, no matter what your risk is. But that plan, if you follow it, will always make you come out ahead.
Well, I feel sure that you want people to feel comfortable and sleep well at night, not worry about making a mistake or whatever. And that's where the risk tolerance comes in, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. And our job is to make that person feel comfortable. We're not trying to put somebody into something that they're not going to be able to sleep at night. Yeah. And we all realize we're all different, and our risk tolerance for me and you while we're sitting here could be totally the same or totally different.
Right.
But that's what makes the world go round.
All right, I guess it's time for us to do a little disclaimer here, since we've talked about investments this morning.
Will do. Of course, securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services are not guaranteed by Wilson Bank and Trust. They're subject to risk and may lose value, and they're not a deposit, not insured by FDIC or any government agency. Wilson Bank and Trust and Wilson Bank Investment Services are not broker-dealers.
All right. Well, Damon, thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate your visit and hope you have a lot of people here I'm sure you will, before the end of the year. And just keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
All right. Wilson Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender. They're still here, still independent, still committed to you. Excellence in banking since 1987. We're 10 minutes after the hour. I have invited Tommy Bryan to come and be my guest this morning. Tommy Bryan is the sports editor for the Wilson Post and recently received a very fine honor, being elected to the I believe it's the Sports Writers Hall of Fame. Good morning. Is that right?
Good morning. Tennessee Sports Writers Hall of Fame.
And what an honor.
Well, as I have said before, sometimes it's a good thing to be the oldest guy in the press box. And having done what I have done for 40 plus years, it's neat to be recognized with the folks who are going in. Teresa Walker, the Associated Press sports editor for the state of Tennessee. Teresa, a trailblazer, female, covers the state from coast to coast, from border to border. She covers the Memphis Grizzlies and will run down there and write a game, write a couple of features, cover the Vols, cover the Predators, the Titans. She's top notch. Mark Wiedemeyer from the Chattanooga newspaper is going in as well. Mark's covered the Southeastern Conference, covered Major League Baseball, covered World Series, Final Fours, things like that.
Okay, I want to talk all about them.
Those are the two that are going in with me.
All right.
And for them to recognize the work that I do, covering 6 high schools and Cumberland University, as I have for these years, I think that says a lot for the work, that they see the value in that. And I don't cover the Final Four, and I don't cover Super Bowls and things like that, yeah. But Watertown goes to the state tournament in volleyball, and that's a big deal. The Lebanon All-Stars go to the Dixie Youth World Series, mm-hmm. and that's a big deal, particularly to the folks who are kinfolk to those people. So that's where my focus has been, on local community journalism, sports, for all these so many years.
I take it you've got a ceremony coming up.
In July 9th at Cumberland. Cumberland has been the host site for the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame awards dinner, and we recognize our coaches of the year in college football and college basketball, and our players of the year in college football and college basketball. They come back, and the TSWA will have a board meeting during that time, and Cumberland has been more than gracious to host us to put on the feed for us on that Thursday night dinner that we have.
Well, this announcement came out a while ago, and I'm thinking, well, I'm kind of behind the times. And then I was thinking also, well, and we didn't talk about this, but there's got to be a ceremony. I didn't know it was that far in advance. You've got all this time to kind of be in the limelight here and be talked about and look forward to.
Well, that's not. As much as I like to talk, it's not something that I really feel comfortable with talking about myself.
Yeah.
But the guys that I've been in the press boxes with, the people that I've been on the phone with, the fellow sports writers, the people who do what I do, and it's not climbing on roofs, and it's not digging ditches, and it's not rewiring houses. It's a different type of tedium. And at times it can be awfully tedious, and you misspell Alan's name because it could be Alan or Allen, and Mom's mad, but it was on the roster that way. And I'd say, lady, it didn't cost but 50 cents to buy the paper. If we charge $1, we'll get them all right. So yeah, there are. It's what I love doing.
Well, good. We need to take a break right here. I'm gonna kind of start at the beginning when we come back, because you and I go back a long ways too, and I won't embarrass you. Okay? I'm not sure I could, but
I doubt that.
Let's take a break. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:14. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, regular oil change is only $28.95. That is up to 5 quarts of oil, tax, and disposal. The best price around. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still heavy traffic out here on 24 out by Harding Place. Sure, we've seen a couple of wrecks in the last 10, 15 minutes. It's bumper to bumper 65 south at Trinity Lane. There's a crash Ellington Parkway there at Spring Street down at the bottom. It's also a crash being moved to Stewart's Ferry at Lauer Drive. Get the lowest prices on most of your airline tickets. SmartFare save you 70% off. Call 1-800-915-2644. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, financing a new home isn't just about buying bricks and mortar. It's more like helping a neighbor build and grow in life. And you won't find anyone better equipped for that job than a friendly expert who's right down the street. Whether you're looking at new construction or a home equity line of credit, Wilson Bank and Trust will work with you on a home loan that's closer to home. Visit Wilson Bank and Trust online or in person when you're ready to take your next step in life, and you'll be glad you did. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Why settle for an ordinary mower when you can have an Exmark zero-radius turn mowers that have been beautifying landscapes for more than 3 decades? Take advantage of Exmark's Triple Play sales event. Buy now and you'll pay no interest till March, no payment till April, plus $1,000 off all Radius X and S models. Buy now and restart your warranty till April 2020. Top landscape pros purchase Exmark 2-to-1 over the next best-selling brand. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Absolute Kubota at 1325 West Main in Lebanon, or visit them online at www.absolutekubota.com.
It's Coleman and Company on a Friday morning, and Tom McBride is with me. And as we were discussing earlier, he was elected to the Tennessee Sports Writers Hall of Fame induction ceremony next July. But you, I've known your father probably, maybe even before you were born. I'm not sure. But anyway, you would have had to have been a very small youngster when I probably first met you. But you actually worked here on the air for us for a while. I think you were on the Sunday morning shift where we had wall-to-wall religious programming, one preacher after another.
Each Sunday morning at this time, the Wilson County Baptist Association brings you this program for religious emphasis.
You still remember the intros you had to read.
Yeah. And boy, don't you hit the wrong one either. You get a...
Well, how did you worked with? I don't remember you were here off and on, and you've done sports for us for a long time, and still do.
35 years coming up. Terry Stafford and I just completed 34 years together doing Lebanon High football. Bob Lee and Joe Gardner, a part of the team. Bob is quickly approaching 20 years, and Joe about 15 or so. Terry keeps up with all those numbers. Terry told us for the last game we did, we've been to like 70-something different high school football stadiums during that time. Yeah. But the newspaper end of it has been my job. The radio has been the fun thing that I do and play around with, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. And being a weekly newspaper guy affords me the ability, too early in the morning, affords me the ability to do what I like to do on Friday nights and not have to take away from what I'm doing in my real job, doing my day job. I got started in the newspaper business, in fact, during high school, working for the school newspaper, the Devil's Advocate. And because of that, I spent time at, at the Lebanon Democrat helping put the paper together. There I met General Carl Wallace, who gave me the opportunity to start covering games, to work a little bit in sports. And at that time, sports at the Democrat was a big deal. David Clymer, who is a fellow Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame sports writer. Right. Clymer worked there. Ronnie Berry, who now lives in West Tennessee, in Jackson. Woody McMillan was involved in news and sports. And so I came in as kind of the low guy on the totem pole. And my first work in the newspaper business, where I actually got a check, was when I was a senior in high school, and I was working at KOA campground during the day or the summer, and I would umpire baseball games at the ballpark at Baird Park. And then when those games were over, I would go to each press box and pick up these sheets they had left for me with a little rundown of each game. Jimmy had 3 hits. Billy pitched 2.5 innings and got bombed, and and I would take those back to the Democrat that night and work them up into stories for the next day. Or I'm trying to remember if the Democrat was even 3 days a week back then, and would work those up and put league standings for Kiwanis and Optimus and Babe Ruth and put all that stuff together, covering the sandlots, as I called them.
You were kind of doing some grunt work at that time, really. Yeah.
And General Wallace, I was in there laying out the pages of the Devil's Advocate one day, and he says, "Hey, I want you to, cover some games and get involved if that's something you'd like to do." And I did. And then once I became an employee of the Democrat, General Wallace approached me one day. I was in the office. I don't guess I was doing anything. He said, "Here, call this guy, and he's with the police department, and get some information from him about this that took place, and work that up for me." I said, "Well, Mr. Wallace, I've never written news before." He said, "Son, if you can write about ball games that you never saw, then you can do this." And that kind of got me rolling. And I worked on the news side too for several years. And then left, went off to school, came back and got involved. The family got involved with the old Wilson World. And,
your family, and I think Putman,
Troy
Putman, y'all, what's it for? Y'all did this, didn't you? And John and Tick, and
John Tick and myself, my 2 brothers. Tick got out. He wanted to concentrate on his music, traveling. He had a band, and Troy got involved as the ownership. And Troy was really good with a camera. Had gone through school at MTSU, and
but y'all were there for a while. But then once your brothers got out, you stayed on, not as owner, but you stayed on as the sports editor.
Yeah, I was having to do a little bit of everything, and then Sam Hatcher and a group bought the Wilson World, converted it to the Wilson Post. I stayed on and just strictly worked sports, and that has been the case for years. And General Wallace and Sam Hatcher, Ed Jenkins, some guys that helped kind of mentor me through the years and showed a lot of patience with me when perhaps they shouldn't have. They were really important, in my as I started out as a young guy in the newspaper business. I've covered murder trials. I had one of the first stories on the super speedway coming to Wilson County. Buddy of mine is a big race car guy. Well, in fact, a real tight buddy of my brother John's, and John was telling me, he says, hey, he thinks something big's happening down here because he knows this about NASCAR, and I just knew the cars went fast and hung a left every time they turned, and got to talking to Donnie, who gave me some insights and some people I might ought to talk to, and all that land was being purchased down in Gladeville, and one thing led to another, and that was a pretty big one back in the day.
Well, you love to write, you love to do play-by-play.
Radio's been a great outlet for me and something I take very seriously. When I get a chance to hear other, and please take this the right way, when I hear other folks do play-by-play for high school football on Friday nights, or maybe we're doing a game on Thursday, or we've got an open week, and I get to hear somebody else, I hear some other crew do a game, and there's all this barking back and forth and everybody talking over the top of each other. We've got a crew that has worked together long enough, and we're smooth. And we may not be the most... we're not Bob Costas and we're not John Madden, but Bob Lee and Terry Stafford and Joe Gardner and myself, we put a lot into it, and we want to do a good job for the radio station and do a good job for the people who tune in. And we think that we've got a pretty good audience that listen to us and like what we do.
Well, right now, what are your job responsibilities? Strictly sports, or do you write obits? Or
while I'm the oldest guy in the building still at the Wilson Post, I'm kind of the contact for news for who's kin to who and who we should call about this, and Tommy, is this guy? Who was? You wouldn't believe how many calls I get from people when I'm working at night and the phone rings and there's an argument going on at a bar about who played for who and all that kind of stuff. Again,
so you settle a lot of disputes.
I told him, I said, now I'm going to have to start getting a little something off these bets, settling all this stuff for you guys. I don't know that much, but I know where to look. I'm the sports editor of the Wilson Post. I'm very fortunate to have, during football season, Larry Taft writing for me, Ivan Aronin writing for me, Jared Felkins writing for me and for the Wilson Post. These guys, veteran newspaper guys, who have done a lot of work, and they're willing to do some work on the side and cover some games, and we're fortunate that my boss, the Gould family, Dave Gould, and his wife Ellen, think a big deal that sports is a big deal, and give me the space to fill up to try to cover the 6 high schools and Cumberland University, and we got a 7th high school coming on board in the fall.
Right. Well, you I want to mention this because I think you have a great love for Lebanon High School, your alma mater. You even on Facebook say happy birthday to a bunch of people who graduated. Every day you've got somebody in there.
There's a Facebook page, Lebanon High School Alumni, LHS Alumni Tennessee. And because I'm sitting in front of a computer most of the time, I've got the opportunity to do that sort of thing and to kind of ride shotgun over that Facebook page and
yeah, but don't you? I mean, I didn't exaggerate. You do love Lebanon High School.
I do. That's where I got my start. That's where my roots are. Blue Devil born, Blue Devil bred, and one day I'll be Blue Devil dead. But my phone is full of phone numbers from all these other coaches and people I talk with on the phone on a weekly basis, and it's important for me to stay on top
Well, every once in a while, when I've needed a guest, like
this week, when you run out of people.
No, I'm talking about maybe from the high school. I've called you to either get their number or for you to put in a good word for me or something like that. Because some of these people I haven't met.
Right.
You know what? It's always good to know somebody that knows somebody.
Well, and again, you do the job that I have done for as long as I have done it. Then, you wind up being. I know a lot of people, and that served me well in my job.
Your father's got to be proud of all three of his sons, but every one of you are so different. To me, you are. I mean, Tick's on the city council. He's sometimes he's out in his own world. You've always loved sports. John is more of the businessman, I guess.
Well, and we've all managed to make a living, and I think we all enjoy what we do. And
well, quickly, just got a minute here. You've got a family, and I think we ought to mention that.
My wife has been long-suffering and very understanding. She was Bobby K. Hamilton. I met her, of all places, at MTSU's Murphy Center. She played basketball for the Lady Raiders, and she shoots Friday night football for me on the sidelines on Friday nights. My son Taylor is about finished at MTSU, and he's serving as he's working as an assistant baseball coach at Volunteer State Community College under Ryan Hunt, Woody's son, who's the head coach over there. And to make a living, he's working at Cracker Barrel, waiting tables. And Thomas, my youngest, who graduated this past spring from Lebanon High, is a student at Pellissippi Community College in Knoxville, going there on the Tennessee Promise, which covers the school, but mom and dad have to cover his living expenses. So he'll be, needless to say, he'll be working during his month-long Christmas break, trying to come up with some folding money. If I might, before we go, big basketball night tonight. Mount Juliet, Lebanon will play at Campbell Brandon Gymnasium, the first district games of the season. Mount Juliet's boys 6-0, Lebanon's boys 6-0. It will be a great night of basketball. Both girls' teams have a lot of respect for each other. Lebanon has been ranked in the state in some of the preseason polls. Mount Juliet, a wonderful tradition down there. Lebanon will host Mount Juliet tonight. Hendersonville will be hosting Wilson Central, Watertown at Cannon County, and Mount Juliet Christian will be at Ezell Harding, and that's Friday's Look at Basketball.
Tommy, thanks for being with us this morning. Congratulations on the honor, and we certainly wish you well.
Well, Coleman, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're going to take a break here. Part 2 coming up. Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:31. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks, Absolute Kubota and Rental. They have a large inventory of new and used Kubota mowers, RTVs, tractors, hay equipment, and more. Come in Saturday. Free popcorn. Check out the new Kubota products. 1325 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We're looking live at this crash up against the wall here. It looks like it's going to be here for a bit on 24 westbound at Haywood Lane. Now, that's just aggravating that situation on 24 coming out of Rutherford County from Murfreesboro to Nashville because of this wreck here on 24 westbound, again at Haywood Lane. It just happened. 400 block of Murfreesboro Pike has been a wreck at that location. A Gallatin Pike there at Palestine. That's an accident involving injuries in East Nashville. Hey, get the lowest prices on most of your airline tickets. Smart Fares save you 70% off. Call 1-800-915-2644. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Someday you may wake up and think, I'm running out of time to do something about retirement. Waypoint Financial Partners can help you do something now that may provide a solid future for you and your family. Waypoint, your future, your way. For more information, call the Lebanon office of Waypoint Financial Partners at 615-444-6548. Securities and investment advisory services offered through AXA Advisors, LLC, 212-314-4600. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Oh, Medina, the smells of Christmas, the memories of stirring the chocolate filling for Granny's famous chocolate pies. Just waiting for that special moment so we could lick the skillet.
Oh, and remember, stringing the popcorn for the tree. We always had to pop more because I ate as much popcorn as I put on the string.
Make some memories with your family this Christmas so that your children will have some memories to cherish. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Call Judy Cox or Medina Himmentoller at Exit Rocky Top Realty. C&D Team 443-3130.
Head coach Mike Vrabel's in year number 2 with talent on defense.
It's intercepted. Kevin Myers, Jarrell Casey, First John, and Landry with the sack.
Join us right here with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, and Coach Dave McGinnis.
Brought to you by Absolute Kubota Exmark, Bates Ford, Fakes and Hooker, Steve Moore Plumbing, and the Jewelers.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
We'll see the chance for more rain showers to round out your work week. With those clouds around, highs will top out in the mid-50s this afternoon. If you're going to be out and about this evening, we'll dry out with lows falling to right around the freezing mark. Sunshine is back for the first half of your weekend. That's your forecast. I'm meteorologist Nisa Lomax.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part 2 here on a Friday morning. I tell you what, we're ready to talk about the C&D team of Exit Rocky Top Realty. We've got Miss Judy, we've got Medina here, and we just look forward to having them every Friday because there's some great people with great service for you located there on West Main Street. And Medina always says, don't make a move without us. Say it again.
Don't make a move without us.
Miss Judy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing
right.
great. We're
well,
just...
we had somebody that was say they love to hear y'all. You probably hear. I hope you hear it every week.
We hear it all the time. They hear us on the radio.
We're glad we've got
this guy said he loved to hear you laugh. So he said, make Coleman laugh. So you're succeeded. So you're laughing.
Well, what do you got for us today?
Well, we want to talk a little bit. I'm going to let Medina talk in a minute, but we want to talk about getting your letters to Santa. We've got a big red mailbox. You can't miss it when you pass our office. It's gigantic red mailbox, and it says, put your Santa letters here. And we want your parents to get out and get your kids and write their letters to Santa. And all you have to do is so convenient, just pull up in our parking lot and just let your kid get out and drop it in the mailbox. And if you'd like to make a picture, some people making pictures and sending to us of their kid putting their Santa letter in the mailbox. And those letters are going to be delivered to Santa way before Christmas, so you need to hurry up and get that in there. And then there's going to be 2 letters drawn, and they're going to get $50 a piece. So lucky 2 kids are going to get $50 cash a piece. So just get your letters in there, and we'll make sure they get to the North Pole, and Santa gets them in plenty of time to answer your letters.
I'm just wondering, is it going to be a drawing, or how do you?
Yeah, Santa's going to draw 2 of them on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And we'll call you sometime
everybody's
between.
Got an equal chance.
That's right, and we'll call you between Christmas and New Year's and let you know which 2 he drew out, and you get $50 cash.
All right. Are you ready for Medina?
She goes right ahead.
Good morning again.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing well, I think, and I hope you are.
Yes, I am. I wanted to talk about, we have a house on 1007 Chateau Drive. It's here in Lebanon. It's in Colonial Estates, and it's a little bit over 3,700 square feet, and it's has 5 bedrooms, but it's a 3-bedroom perk, so those other 2 rooms could be offices or whatever. You could turn them into bedrooms, either one. And it has 2 garages, or a 4-car garage and 2-car carport. And it's huge, but it's on an acre lot. The house is immaculate. It's move-in ready. It has the hardwood, the tile. The views are beautiful as far as the backyard is private. You have a deck, a covered deck, well taken care of. That has upstairs, the rec room. It's just a house that if you're looking forward to be on a cul-de-sac close to 109, but you're not on 109, but you're close to 109, then this is the house that you need to look at. It's 1007 Chateau Drive, and the list price is $444,900.
I can't get over six. You could have 6 cars,
yes,
and a place to put them.
That's right. And they had at one time, they had the part of the garage was converted into a mother-in-law quarters because one of the mothers used to live there, and so they've converted that back, and it's heated and cooled in that garage. So part of it. So, but anyway, that house is listed at $444,900. And if you're looking for something close to 109 and immaculate, move-in ready, you don't have to do a thing to it. Just put your stuff in it on an acre lot on a cul-de-sac.
All right.
then this is the house for you. It's a good Christmas present.
Is that it, or you got another one?
I got another one coming. It's on Eastover. It's 3327 Eastover Road. It's a log cabin. Beautiful views that you can see all over Lebanon, and it's coming soon, and it's gonna be listed at $850.
Okay.
So, but it's beautiful. We're doing some cleanup on it now and getting it ready, and so we'll have more information for you probably next week.
All right. Well, you're out there looking for them, and it seems
That's
like
right.
you're finding a lot.
That's right.
They're
You just don't
coming
make
to
a
you.
move without us, and we'll find you.
And it's not too late to list your house. There are people coming in here. Thanksgiving weekend, we wrote an offer on a house. Well, the one we talked about on Kingsville Road a few weeks ago is under contract now. So it's not too late. People are coming in. They retire at the end of the year. They get their retirement, so they're looking for a house during the holidays to move in January. So, and then some people want to change their kids at the school break when January and December when it happens. So, they don't know it's going to be for sale if you don't give us a call.
Right, and it's just that you're just it's a 12-month a year thing.
That's right.
Real estate
It's
is
year
anymore.
round now. It used to be seasonal. Usually people put their houses on the market in the spring and the summer, but now with the year-round school, it's changed. And January is one of our largest months in sales is January now, which has really changed the market.
Well, we used to say you're large enough to serve, small enough to care. You're certainly people you can trust, and we want to mention your phone number, of course. So give her a call, either one, or even Mike. 615-443-3130.
And you don't make a move without us.
All
Get
right,
your
thanks
letters
a-
ready for Santa.
All right, we'll see you next Friday. We're about 20 minutes before the hour. I have invited Kim Parks to come and be my guest today. Kim is going to talk about the 12th Annual Historic Places Tour that is coming up this Saturday, December 7th. And Kim, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us, have somebody to talk to, of course, which I try to do every morning. And I had printed off in black and white your brochure, and you got one in color.
Yeah,
here.
I thought you could read that one.
I'll use the colorful one here today, but you do have on your flyer here that this is presented by Liberty State Bank.
Yes, this year Liberty State Bank approached us, and they wanted to help support Historic Lebanon, and they thought being the presenting sponsor for the home tour would be a great way, so we're very proud to have them on board this year. And Chris Crowell over there on North Cumberland. So thank you, Liberty State Bank. We appreciate you.
Chris was here yesterday talking about the
good.
city of Lebanon. We didn't get around to talking about this, but it is this Saturday, and it's you have a 3.5 hour window from 5 to 8:30. Now, people who have heard about this or participated in it before know pretty much what we're talking about, and it doesn't change an awful lot.
Right.
It's
The houses change, but the process is the same.
the thing is pretty much the same each year, with maybe a little bit different. But what you always have different are the different homes, and
Right.
and you have to, I think, put a lot of time and effort into this. First of all, you've got to find a home that would be good for your tour, and then you got to make sure that the people who own it want people to come there.
Exactly. And again, so appreciate the homeowners who open their homes for the tour. We could not have this without them. And this is a fundraiser for Historic Lebanon. So I start asking people, well, sometimes a year in advance, kind of depends on if I see people working on their house. I'm like, hey, when do you think you'll be finished? And then it gets real serious in July. I try to have everybody lined up in July so they will have a deadline. And it's a really good way if you have some projects that you think you want done in your house to know you're going to have about 400 people come through one night. It's a good motivator to get some projects done.
Well, I can imagine that. I'm just out of curiosity. Have you ever had one that then maybe it got down to November and all of a sudden something happens to them, or some situation develops that you just cannot?
We've had that happen a couple of times, and I always try to have. We have 6 homes on the tour this year, and I try to have at least 4 or 5. I like having that extra cushion because life happens. Sometimes something will happen, and but we've only had that happen really twice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we usually go around the whole, and you being the historian that you are. One of these days, you'll probably take Jack Bell's place or something. But
it's Rick. It's Rick Bell.
I did it again. I'm sorry, Rick. Well,
he's all right. I'm sure.
I don't think Rick cares too much.
No, I don't think he does.
Anyway, you have. We'll talk a minute here about this because we'll after we come back from break, we'll go over your entire tour here, hopefully.
Okay.
But you have developed a special interest in old homes and history and all of this, and I guess part of it had to do with your upbringing and where you lived. But
right.
You lived here in Lebanon in some older houses.
Yes. Well, and you know, the grandparents, my great grandparents, your parents lived out in Centerville. And then Daddy's side of the family lived out in Beasley's Bend. And I just kind of thought everybody lived in an older house. I didn't realize that until, I got older. But people ask me, when did you become interested? I've always been this way. I've always been interested in older things or the story with it or why is it this way? I mean, that's just kind of how my brain works. So I think this fits in very well with my natural tendencies is to be curious about things, and I like doing research. So it's a good fit.
One other thing, we mentioned the time, 5 to 8:30. Now, you buy a ticket, and they are sold in advance, or you can get them the night of the tour. But if you want to save a little money, you buy them in advance.
Right. And you can get them at the Historic Lebanon office at 324 West Main, the Chamber of Commerce on the Square, Eddie and Oscar's on the Square, or Dreams Boutique on the Square. You can buy them night of the tour at any of the sites. And to find out where those sites are, our website, historiclebanon.com, has the whole listing with the addresses. There's a map and then information about each house and a photo. So you can buy those at the door Saturday night.
But they're $10 in advance, $12 if you wait to the tour to do that. So be aware of that. But available a number of places there that you just mentioned. So there's no excuse as far as that goes. You can get your tickets now if you want.
Exactly. And the weather's supposed to be great tomorrow. No rain, no wind or real cold weather. It's supposed to be nice. So it's a good night to get out in your hometown and enjoy some history.
Okay. You've got 6 places, right?
Well, 6 homes and the City Museum. So we have 7 sites.
All right. We're going to talk about each one of them after we take this break here. Kim Parks is with me here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:46. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. And it's all brought to you by our friends at Bates Ford. They have the lifetime brake pad guarantee. With the purchase of a brake service, replacement brake pads will be provided at no cost for as long as the customer owns the vehicle. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. They're moving that wreck right now on 24 westbound at Haywood Lane. There's just so much traffic volume coming in from Murfreesboro. Couple of wrecks with injuries out here in the last few minutes. One of them's going to be at Edge Hill at Villa Place there in Midtown. The other one's at Whites Creek Pike at Rebills Drive. That's going to be in Trinity Hills. Traffic's bumper to bumper 65 south there at Trinity Lane. Hey, get the lowest prices on most of your airline tickets. SmartFare save you 70% off. Call now 1-800-915-2644. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
She's taken care of you your whole life. Now it's your turn to take care of her. But with a family of your own and other responsibilities, there just aren't enough hours in the day. That's why it might be time to call the Pavilion Senior Living. From bathing, dressing, housekeeping, and meals, the Pavilion Senior Living is committed to being senior living you can trust for your loved one. Find out more at pavilionseniorliving.com or call 444-5556. That's 444-5556.
Gregory Dental in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from University Medical Center. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. It's a Friday morning. Kim Parks is with us. Just a second here before we get to your tour. Historic Lebanon. You kind of run that executive director. What's
exactly
executive director, Stark Lebanon. And what are you're just in a minute? What's your mission? What are you trying to do?
Well, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to pursue the revitalization of Lebanon's historic public square and surrounding neighborhoods. So we're part of the Tennessee Main Street program, which uses historic preservation for economic development. We've been part of that since, I think, November of 2013. So we want to take our history and preserve it, but we don't want to create a museum with it. We want, history can be living and breathing and modern, and we want to preserve the historic buildings and kind of the sense of community that comes with the square and the historic neighborhoods, but make sure that they're adaptable to modern use.
Yeah. Well, and you do have some fundraisers from time to time, I guess. Is this your biggest one, really?
Our biggest one is our Farm to Table dinner in the fall. And we have 3. We have our Friends of dinner in May during National Preservation Month. We have our Farm to Table in the fall, and then we have our the home tour in December.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've got actually 7 places.
7 sites.
Counting the City Museum.
Correct.
But 6 homes
6 homes.
on the tour. And knowing you and how much you probably know about each one of these, I'm going to turn you loose here because we only got 11 minutes.
Okay.
I want to cover them all, but do a nice job here for each one of them as best we can.
Our first stop is 211 East Spring Street, which is the cutest little cottage. I was in it the other day, and Chip and Jan Smith have renovated that. And it is just perfect. It is very cute. It is in the East Spring Historic District, which was Lebanon's second historic district. And Diane Apple had owned that house at one time, and I had found a newspaper article from 1995 where they were working on homes on the street, and they were trying to get a historic district or to really get the whole street, people to notice that those are some of Lebanon's homes over there. Not this particular one, but some others down the street that were there when Cumberland's first university building was over there. So I thought that was nice. And they had taken classes at Vol State to learn how to repair their homes, and they had been working on them. So, but it's a cottage style. It's built in 1921, and it has its original 5/1 windows, which is always nice to see original windows. It has 10-foot ceilings. So it's a small little cottage, but man, it's really, really good looking. I think people are going to enjoy seeing that. And then on, 115 South Hatton, which is, again, a bungalow style. But this one is kind of deceptive. It looks small, but it stretches out in the lot. It's got about 2,500 square feet, which is pretty, that's a decent-sized house. And let me find my info on it. But it is this Whitney Simpson, who owns Bloom Yoga on the square. She's the owner with her husband, Troy, right now. And, I research these houses and go back and look at deeds and look at the names. And then we ask people who live there. And a previous owner used to teach piano lessons in the front of the house. So I think that's kind of cool to see how houses were used. In this house, it had its original staircase upstairs. It's one of those kind of very small, tight ones that they build into the wall. And that's still there, but they've added a new staircase. A previous owner did to kind of where you weren't like climbing a ladder to get upstairs. And this one had a chancery court case. A lot of times you'll find that when people are inheriting things to try to figure out who really owns it. Oh. So that went back to May of 27. But I think that house was built around 1918. And then on Tarver, 202 South Tarver, we have the Denny's live there now, but it's the Miles and Ann Smith house. It's on the corner of Tarver and Spring Street. And we traced that back to when it was a lot. So Miles Smith had always said that he moved in that house when he was 6 months old. So that was true. So the house was built in 1924. And so Miles lived there from the time he was 6 months old until 2007, and then they sold that at auction. So he lived there a long time. But his parents, J. Gould Smith and Mary Elizabeth Smith, are the ones that built the house. And then J. Gould Sr. and Neil McLean had McLean and Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They lived on the same street. Neil McLean lived 2 doors down from him. But Jay Gould Smith and his wife also lived in another house on the tour this year. They lived at 114 South Tarver, which is that really cute little bungalow, and they lived there before they bought the lot and built the house on the corner. So that was kind of fun to find out that information.
You need to be able to be at all 7 of these locations at the same time.
We have a brochure that has all this info, but I do float around. I try to have enough people working where I can float.
Okay.
But I found that very interesting, and also that Miles and his brother Gould Smith, who was a junior, they owned Fakes and Hooker for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. So they were very much into the business of Lebanon and things like that. And Gould Smith lived in the lot behind Miles, behind his brother there on Spring Street. So that's and the house 114 South Tarver, which is just, I think it's a perfect example of the bungalow craftsman style. It's just a very, very intact house. And what was very interesting, I've always heard, people have told me that was a Sears house, a Sears kit house, and I have found no evidence of that, but it could be. I don't know that it's not, but they don't write that on the deed. But on this deed, it's very interesting when the Smiths are selling it to the Finleys, who lived there for a very long time. It mentions that all the kitchen equipment is to stay with the house, and it describes it. And normally you don't find that in the deeds. They're not that specific. So maybe that was added later. So maybe it was a kit house. I'm just not sure on that. And then we have 119 Pennsylvania Avenue, and it was built in 1943. And let's see, Miss Alice Sherrill inherited it with her sisters, Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Doak, from their parents in 1906. It was a lot. And Miss Sarah Hughes purchased the lot from Miss Sherrill, and she lived there until she was 97. So Mrs. Hughes lived there for a very long time. But I found the plat, the original plat. It was called Pendleton Subdivision on Pennsylvania Avenue, and it's lot number 4. So you can find the plats at the registrar's office. Yeah. So I thought there were about 6 lots there on Pennsylvania. And if you've ever noticed that street, I guess when they were developing that, they planted the catawba trees that have the big white blooms in the spring. Mm-hmm. And I think that's about one of the only streets we have that have a row of those catawba trees. So those are very pretty. And I was driving by, Kara and Ryan Sprouse live there now, and they've got it all decked out. They have all the lights on the outside and everything. So it's going to look really good. And it's in the Cumberland University Historic District, which was the 3rd residential historic district. And it has over 80 acres and 146 houses in it. So it's the largest historic district that we have. And one of the reasons that we started doing this home tour 12 years ago, which I can't believe it's been that long, was to highlight these areas and to stress the importance of preserving them and preserving the neighborhoods. And so now we have 3 residential historic districts. So I'm very proud of that. And then we have 110 South Tarver Avenue. So these are grouped really well. It's going to be a nice night. You can walk to several.
Pretty compact.
Right.
Small area, really.
Right. Well, East Spring, and then if you drive over to Hatton and Tarver, you can walk. And if the city would build a sidewalk down Spring Street, you can walk to the Pennsylvania Avenue house too. But the 110 South Tarver, the Gibsons live there, and I found it. Let's see. She was a secretary at Castle Heights Avenue, Mrs. Clark, and her younger sister Elizabeth. And they lived there. I think they were both never married, and they lived there. The younger one lived there till 1993. So the current owners have been there since 2005, and so they've been there 15 years. So they've added things over the years, and they have a nice deck and a pool. And then let's see, is that all of them?
I lost count, to be honest, Kim.
I think I talked about all of them. And then, of course, the City Museum's on it. I always like to highlight the City Museum. We have a great little museum there. A lot of history.
You have it in nearly every year? Or
Not every year. Maybe every third year we'll have the City Museum on it. Sometimes we'll have the Feston House or the Veterans Museum.
What's the good reason to go to that City Museum?
Well, it tells the story of Lebanon, which I think is a nice way. There's lots of information in there on early Lebanon, and then there's a good display on some industry in Lebanon that I think people don't know were here, and a lot of pictures of some houses and other things. So there's some good information in there, and I think a lot of people don't really realize all of our history. So sometimes it's good to either get a refresher or to learn something new.
All right, in our last minute and a half or so here, a reminder, the 12th Annual Historic Places Tour does take place this Saturday, tomorrow evening, starting at 5 and going until 8:30. There are 6 locations, residences, all of those that you mentioned, plus the City Museum over at City Hall.
Yes.
And you pay $10 if you buy your ticket in advance. There'll be $12 if you wait till tomorrow night to do them. And quickly tell us where the tickets are available.
Tickets are at the Historic Lebanon office, 324 West Main, the Lebanon Wilson County Chamber on the square, Eddie and Oscar's on the square, or Dreams Boutique on the square.
All right, and you come and go, and you don't have to go to all 7 if you don't want to. You can go to just one.
You can go to just one. You can start at any number you want to. There's no order to it.
But you do show that you purchased your ticket.
A Historic Lebanon board member works the door normally, and they'll take your ticket or give you a brochure if you don't already have one.
Okay.
So.
Well, I hope we've covered this pretty well. You know so much about all of these. It's interesting to hear you talk about each one, and each one has some history there that you just funnel into to yourself because you love it so much. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, Kim Parks, and that is it for a Friday. Have a nice weekend till Monday. I wish you a fantastic day.